everyone. We'll give it a couple minutes while everybody logs on. I'm really excited about today's interview. I'm excited to have you on here, Morris. I'm glad to finally be able to talk to you and sit down and share kind of what you're working on. There's lots of people that keep asking me if we're attending your events and have been to some of your events. And so I'm excited to share, but welcome. For those of you that are just joining, if you like what you're hearing, please like, share, comment, invite other people to join. You can find all of our content and information on our website, globalhempassociation.org, or on our YouTube channel, Global Hemp Association. But I'm going to pass this over because I'm excited to hear what's going on with you, Morris. Tell me a little bit about how you got into this industry, a little background about yourself.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Mandi, and it's good to actually talk to you in one of these sessions that you do all the time. And congratulations for getting so many people involved. And, you've come on for the last, 6-8 months and just interviewed all kinds of great people. So kudos to you and the Global Hemp Association for all you're doing for the industry and jumping in head first and making splashes and waves and all the good stuff. So I got into, I guess a little bit of my past is I grew up in Colorado. I was born in Kansas, actually, but my parents moved here when I was less than one. We lived on a farm, a little 17-acre farm. We didn't grow any crops or anything, but we had horses and cows and chickens and ducks and dogs and cats. And so I was a little farm boy for the first 10, 11 years of my life. Then got into playing sports. We moved out of the farm thing, moved into a neighborhood, played sports growing up. Had a musical family. My brothers, I had 2 older brothers. One's professional guitar player, great world-class musician. I play guitar as well. As you can probably see behind me, I've got some guitars back there and amplifiers and cabinets. And all of these on this side right here, those are all made out of hemp. Those are not made out of hemp. Those are regular ones. But we'll get to talking about the Silver Mountain hemp guitars and cabinets and so forth later. And just to be clear, so I really wasn't knowledgeable of hemp back in the 90s until when I moved back to Colorado. There was a hemp store in Fort Collins called The Hemperor's New Clothes that was based off The Emperor Wears No Clothes from the Jack Hare book, and I read the Jack book, all of that stuff. So I got familiar with hemp back then, and I was a cannabis user. I've been a cannabis user for a long time from a recreational standpoint, but really didn't do much in the hemp industry other than I did run some hats and t-shirts that were on hemp back in the late 90s that I got set up from the gal at the hemp store. And come 2012, we introduced the first legislation to legalize adult use cannabis and tax and regulate it like alcohol. It was Amendment 64. And within that legislation, there was a clause to start allowing Colorado farmers to start growing industrial hemp. And I was like, interesting. I'm familiar with hemp, and maybe this could be a good industry to pivot to, because our society needs some more eco-friendly alternatives. And coming from the music business, one of the things that was kind of a come to Jesus moment for me is being in the physical CD business. I can tell you that me personally is probably responsible for 100,000 pieces of plastic CD jewel cases in the landfill. And I'm just one guy out of a lot of people that have contributed to the landfill with plastic. And it's like, wow, this is such a waste. I mean, why are we throwing all this stuff in the landfill that's going to take thousands of years to biodegrade, if ever? There has to be better ways. And what can hemp do? Hemp's one of these materials that can replace a lot of the petroleum plastics or stop the deforestation of chopping down trees for paper and toilet paper and construction materials. So I was like, let's start a hemp company. It's time to pivot. And I reached out to a friend of mine, Elizabeth Knight, who's a co-founder in Colorado Hemp Company. And we started Colorado Hemp Company in 2012. And that's where we started.
That's awesome. Awesome. So you had, I'm always interested, like what people's aha moments are. Like what was it for you that you were like, oh, hemp is it, like you said?
Well, again, I was trying to figure out what's the next path for me. I've been in the music business for 25 years and I didn't see a path forward to being able to make a good living at it. I was just kind of burnt out and tired, and it's like, well, I could go into the marijuana industry. It's happening here in Colorado, but it's like, I really don't want to be schlepping marijuana and working at a dispensary, and I'm not a grower. And I just got really intrigued with the hemp side of things. It's like, well, we can start a hemp merchandise company. So boom, we started doing hemp t-shirts. And I reached out to a couple of companies that were already operating. One was Wicked Hemp Footwear that was making hemp shoes. Hempies, which is still around. They make wallets and shirts, and they do cordage and hats and beanies, and picked up their line. And then I picked up another line by a company called Hemp Mania that was making backpacks and tote bags and a variety of different bag type stuff. And they're still around as well. So we made kind of a resale arrangement with them where I could go shop their stuff to outdoor shops and just rep their product lines.
Gotcha.
And that's really how it all started. And we started doing our own t-shirts and hats. And then from there, I found a hemp paper and started doing hemp business cards and posters and marketing collateral in 2013, and started Tree Free Hemp, which was one of the first hemp printing companies out on the market. That's a little chunk. And we're doing the same thing with the paper market. The paper we've been using is 25% hemp, 75% post-consumer recycled. And then with Pure Hemp Technology, like 3-4 years ago, we made this, which is a 50% hemp pulp, 50% post-consumer recycled.
Okay.
And now,
how does that change?
This right here is 100% hemp, and this is created by Cottrell Paper Company out of New York, Cottrell Mill. And we did those. That's a hemp placemat. We did those for NOCO Hemp Expo this year.
Yes.
And we're actually doing hemp paper bags for Southern Hemp Expo coming up, and we're using the Cottrell paper. And so these guys are really kind of the first company to do 100% hemp paper milled here in the United States.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about NOCO. You launched NOCO in 2014. It was the largest trade show up until 2020, or up to 2020. How did the pandemic affect the trade show and the shows and the networking and the industry's relationships to do business, or ability to do business?
It definitely has disrupted our industry.
Yeah.
We were really rocking going into 2020. 2019, we had a huge show, 10,000 plus people. Cars parked on curbs. I mean, it was really pandemonium, and those that were there know it was a bit too much. We had too many people for the space that we had, and we moved to a larger facility for 2020. And then all of a sudden, here comes the pandemic. And when that hit, we were actually, me and Joy Beckerman and Rick Trojan were at Expo West for the Natural Products Expo to give a Future of Hemp talk on Tuesday, March 2nd. But on March 1st, they pulled the plug, and it was like, holy smokes, this is not good. And I wasn't planning on pulling the plug. I then looked to South by Southwest, who said, we're going on. If the concert industry is going to hang in there, I'm following those guys. But that changed really quick. So by the end of that week, South by Southwest had a bunch of people pull out and said, sponsors canceling. It's like, we're pulling the plug. And it's like, all right, well, we're going to pull the plug and give our exhibitors and all of our attendees at least 2 weeks notice so it doesn't screw everybody.
Okay, so tell me about the business you started in 2015. Is it WAFBA?
WAFBA.
Yes, okay. So tell me a little bit about it. It's the umbrella for events and developing of products you're developing, right? Tell me.
Right, so in 2012, we started Colorado Hemp Company. In 2013, we started Tree Free Hemp. In 2014, we started NOCO Hemp Expo. And it's like, here's all these entities that are really separate from each other. We need to have a holding company or an umbrella. And so we created WAFBA, We Are for Better Alternatives. And that now holds those three, plus Southern Hemp Expo, Let's Talk Hemp, Hemp Events, Hawaii Hemp Conference, Silver Mountain Hemp Guitars, One Planet Hemp. It holds all of our brands and our entities.
Awesome. So what are future plans? What are some of these new businesses you think you'll be getting your fingers or yourself involved in?
Well, the hemp paper side of things is something that I'm definitely going to be involved in. I'm excited about that because we're just at the very tip of what can happen there. And there are big companies that are showing interest. So I'm excited about that. The guitar side of things, this is been a labor of love. There's still development going on. All these are prototypes, but the prototyping's pretty much done now. The guys that are building these for me, they're the French brothers, Dave and Michael French. They'll be out at Southern Hemp Expo. They were at Southern Hemp Expo the last time.
Awesome.
Great builders, super smart guys, super cool. So I'm excited about that. That's not something I see becoming like Fender or Gibson or a big guitar company, but They're good instruments. I want to get them in the hands of good guitar players and good musicians. They sound good, they play good. And it just shows one more thing that hemp can do. Not that we're out to replace all the wood on the planet, because guitar players have their kinship with certain types of tone woods and so forth. So we're not trying to replace all your cool woods, everybody. This is just another alternative, another tool in the toolbox. But let's see, what else? Oh, well, speaking of paper, I want to show you this. Here's a roll of 100% hemp paper, which is cool. Yep, here's some hemp wood. And these guys, Greg Wilson and the Hemp Wood guys, a lot of our stuff is made with their products, and amazing product, and cheers to those guys.